Am I the a-hole for calling my wife unreasonable for backing out of spending Christmas with my family after my mother rejected her cookie sample? Context for every holiday. My mother would ask the women in the family, my sisters, sister-in-law, my wife, my female cousins to send samples of the desserts they planned to bring to the celebration for testing and to see if these desserts could make it to the food menu. My wife has been complaining about my mother deliberately rejecting every dessert sample she sent. So many times, my mother has told her that she is being honest and keeping the guests' best interest at heart. Yet my wife still thought that my mother is deliberately excluding her, since 2 of her dessert samples were rejected before. For this year's Christmas, my mother is doing the same thing, but this time, she told every woman who are participating to make a cookie sample and send it to her for testing. My wife took it as a challenge, and to be honest, she worked really hard to make a good sample and sent it to my mother days ago, and the results just came in yesterday. I came home from work and found my wife upset. I asked what's wrong, and she told me that my mother rejected the sample she sent and decided to exclude her baking from the food list menu for Christmas this year. I didn't know what to say, but she then told me she was backing out of the invitation to attend Christmas with my family. I was stunned when I heard her make this statement. I tried to talk to her, but she said it was done. I called her unreasonable to decide to bail on the whole family over some cookie sample. That's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. We had a full-on argument about it, and she stated that my mother caused this, but I told her that my mother is pretty serious and careful about the food she offers to the guests, since we are going to have relatives coming from all sides of country. She told me to stop mentioning it. Later, I heard her cry, despite telling her that her baking is amazing and people have preferences that all AITA, for insisting that her decision was unreasonable. Info 2. If you're asking whose cookie sample made it to the menu, the answer is my sister and my 2 cousins. Info. Few things to put on here. My wife wasn't the only one whose sample was rejected. We have Syl's brother's wife and my younger sisters. My mother did not force anyone to participate. It was up to whoever wanted to take part. It is just about the dessert, since my mother tends to be very careful in this category, but for other types of foods, dishes, appetizers, salads, stuff like that is welcome, as she stated. 2. I think in this scenario you are the a-hole, my friend. Instead of reasoning with your wife, you should have confronted your mother and asked her the reason for her rejection. I mean, not every time her cookies can turn out bad, right? To me, it clearly seems like she doesn't like her and taking it out on her cookies. Viewers, what do you think? Please comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this. Oh, there is also an update. Great! So I just got off the phone with my brother, and he told me that his wife is doing the same thing as my wife, and that she has decided to back out of the invitation to spend Christmas with family as well. Turns out my wife must have told her about her decision, and she decided to follow her lead. My brother is pissed, saying my wife is encouraging his wife to do this. I see that the problem has just gotten bigger now. Who knows, my younger sister might join in and decide not to go as well. I don't know how this got out of control so quickly. I guess we'll try to have a discussion with my mother about this soon and see how it goes. Am I the a-hole for teaching my 20 niece, Quattro to say, Il chupacabra? When her mom, 32F, says, you know what really gets my goat? Context. Basically title, I guess. My sister has a habit of saying, you know what really gets my goat? She probably says it 7/8 times a day. So, like that Tumblr post, I taught my niece to say El Chupacabra when her mum says it, too. It sounds more like a supercaba though, cause she's 4, but it's adorable. I told my niece it was a monster from Mexico that eats goats, and she didn't seem scared or anything, probably cause the only monster she knows is Cookie. Monster! But apparently now my niece walks around the house saying Il Chupacabra all day, and now my sister and brother-in-law are mad at me for teaching her this, but it's kind of adorable and also harmless. But like she's my sister's kid, so IDK LOL, this is so funny. Well, in my opinion, you are not the a-hole, dear. I mean, this is what kids do. They learn something new, and if they find it's cool, they keeps repeating themselves. But I also understand how this might get on your sister's nerve. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I hate her for escaping Context: recently, my wife has taken to fridgescaping. I guess it's a recent trend because I'd never heard about it before this. She started decorating our fridge and it was really getting on my nerves. For example, she put flowers in the fridge, in vases, in front of food, so you have to move things just to get to the food. She put all our food in fancy baskets, jars, and similar things. I know it sounds absurd, but if you just search up fridgescaping ULL, see what I am talking about. I didn't tea care at first because I don't have to use the fridge much anyways. I don't cook a lot. But she's getting too meticulous with it and adding too much decor. It's made the fridge very uninviting for me. She gets upset when I get something from the fridge and don't put things back perfectly. She keeps taking it as a personal slight and acts like I've done something to deliberately hurt her. When I haven't, I just find it unnecessary to maintain such an organized fridge. Before she started this, it would take me 30 seconds to grab something quick from the fridge, whereas now it's a whole ordeal. Last weekend, she confronted me after I grabbed some leftovers from the fridge and left it in disarray. According to her, I explained how I find the hobby stupid and she can decorate other things. It doesn't have to be the fridge. It gets in the way when I want to quickly eat. When I come home from work hungry and tired and want to grab a quick bite, it's frustrating. Talk. I also talked to my son about it, and he finds it annoying, which I told her. She didn't argue back after that, and she's removed all of the decorations from the fridge, which I have to admit has been relieving. But she's also been acting very distant towards me and just hasn't been herself, and has been weird intimacy-wise. This is kinda tough. I understand where you are coming from, but instead of calling it dumb or stupid and hurting her feelings, you could have presented it more politely, like letting her know it is not practical, and it bothers you to move things around. Just get something out or put into the fridge. But I am still gonna rule that you are not the a-hole. I would still get irritated with this if I were in your place. Viewers, what is your opinion on this? Please comment down below so I can read them. AITA for this. Am I the a-hole for causing a scene and leaving a free vacation over the way my daughter was being treated? Context: my brother, Nate, and his wife Jen invited me and my daughter, Maddie 10, to go on vacation with them and their kids, Laura 12 and Danny 9. Nate and Jen are extremely well off. They both have high-paying jobs and earn around $350,000 between them. Maddie and I are middle class. I own a small house and Maddie goes to a private school. Maddie has a good life, but it doesn't compare to her cousins. My brother and Jen rented a house for us and paid for the rental, all of the food, and all of the activities. The only thing I paid for was gas when driving myself and Maddie to the house. Tease. I also have to say Nate and I get along very well, but I have a great relationship with Jen, mostly because of how they are with the kids. Nate tells the kids they don't have to be nice to anyone, never encourages them to share their toys, and doesn't discipline his kids. Jen is the opposite. She constantly tells the kids to share with their cousins and will punish them if they being rude to the other kids or adults. Now to the vacation. They rented a 3-bedroom house. Nate and Jen had the master bedroom. I had the second bedroom with a double bed. And all of the kids were going to share a room with 2 bunk beds, 4 beds. The first night was pretty rough. The kids brought tons of toys but refused to let Maddie play with them. Jen came in and told them that before they left she told them they have to share their toys, so they either share or she takes them away. They were a little rude but mostly fine the rest of the night. The second night, Jen went out to dinner with an old friend, and Nate and I were home with the kids. We were getting the kids ready for bed, and an argument broke out between the kids, because Laura and Danny decided T want to share with Maddie, and told her to sleep on the couch. I expected Nate to tell them that the bedroom was for all of the kids, but he told Maddie that she either has to sleep with me or on the couch. I asked if he was serious, and he said yes, and that his kids weren't comfortable sharing with Maddie, and since he paid for the house, he has a right to kick Maddie out of the room. I told Maddie to get her bag, and that if she doesn't have a bed, we're going home. Maybe an hour after we left, Jen came back and asked why Maddie and I left. I told her what happened and she asked me to come back and promised that she'd take care of her husband and the kids because she wants her kids to have a good relationship with their cousins. I said no, and shortly after we got home, I got a call from my brother yelling at me for causing a scene, creating problems between him and his wife, and being ungrateful for a free vacation. He got our parents involved and they agreeing that it's a free vacation and I can be picky. AITA for leaving with Maddie. My dear, you did not need our validation to confirm that you are not the a-hole. It's your brother that is the a-hole here. I mean, how can you be so cruel to a child and treat them based on their parents' income? Also, the grandparents. Come on, I have seen many grandparents like this who will favor one of their child over than other based on income, and also do this to the grandchildren. It breaks my heart. Guy, share your opinion on this. Have you ever faced something like this in your life? My the a-hole for dropping a child off because I was lied to about my pay. I 21 female, work as a babysitter nanny, while I finish my credits for my early child education. I'm very well known in my area, and am professional, and have different hats for myself. I get multiple jobs a week. I don't normally babysit for family, but I agreed to a few days ago. The child was 4, and with that age I usually charge $15 an hour, $200 a day. For this particular family member, I agreed to do it for $150 a day. It was 2 hours in, and my relative told me she could only pay me $50 to $80, and that she hoped I understood. I told her I didn't understand, because I told her up front already, and that I even lowered my rate for her. This is what I live off of. I missed out on other opportunities that would pay way more, so I can't have her lowball me. She began ignoring me, so I told her if she continued I would drop her off at another relative's. She continued to ignore me, so I dropped her off at this relative's sister's house, who agreed to watch her. Within a few minutes I got a text saying how unprofessional I was, and how dare I do that she's family and I was being extremely selfish. This is how I make money for a living, and I gave her multiple warnings and we agreed on a price beforehand. I think that your family relative here was being selfish, and it was very unethical to try to underpay you when you already let them know about your fees up front. You are not the a-hole. I also appreciate that you made sure the child is in safe place and not just leave them alone. Viewers, do you agree with my ruling? Let me know down below the comment section. Am I the a-hole for firing my sister after seeing her blog and not rehiring her without an apology? Basically what happened is, read my sister's blog. It was sent to me by a friend of mine who was asking if one of the characters was me. Spoiler alert, it was me. It's couple years old and really popular. She doesn't use our family's real names, but they are very similar and use the same first letter. So think real names. Katie, Julia, Marissa, and Brad, then the fake names being Kathy, June, Marnie, and Bob. It's descriptive enough of our lives and what we do for work that my friend identified me from it. It's mostly about her and her life, but there is still a lot about us. A year ago, I had an abortion. It was during the lowest point in my life so far, and only she and my husband knew about it. She swore to me that she would take the secret to her grave. Yeah, she dedicated a whole entry to it. A couple months ago, she and her husband got laid off due to world events. I run my own business that wasn't really affected, and I offered her a job there to help her out. She's not qualified in my field, so I essentially made up a position for her so she could have a steady paycheck. Show basically does data entry and other random tasks online from her home. Her blog since then has basically centered on how much she hates it. She called it demeaning work and says a bunch of bullshit about how I obviously don't respect her intelligence. I say this is bullshit because 1, she would need years of training to work any of the open positions. 2, I told her what she would do when I offered it, and she gushed about how grateful she was and that I was really helping her. I called her and told her what I had read and how hurt I was. Her defense is that the blog is her online diary where she vents, and that I should know not to take any of it personally. She actually had the gall to tell me that she is hurt that I read it. Apparently, the right thing to do was ignore it. I told her off for telling the internet my secrets and dragging me online where I could be, and was found by people who know me. She just said she did all her due diligence by changing the names, and it was her fault my friend found it. We argued for a bit. It got increasingly heated, and I fired her. Told her that if she couldn't apologize or see how she was wrong here, Then she was in T who I thought she is, and she could find a job where she felt more respected. It's been a week and I haven't spoken to her at all. Her husband has been contacting me on her behalf, trying to get her job back as they need the money. He claims she is sorry, but I think if she was, then she could tell me herself. My own husband is telling me I am overreacting and that she's family and I should just forget it. I don't agree. Am I the arsehole here? TLDR. Sister drags me and reveals my secrets on her blog and I fire her. Am I the arsehole? You are not the a-hole. It's very disheartening when some people takes everything for granted, especially family members. Instead of being thankful for the help they receive, they becomes more demanding. And to share your secret with the whole internet, oh my god. If you have sister like that, you do not need an enemy. We have some updates. Let's get into them. Edit update. After reading a lot of the response, I have become more and more sickened by this situation. I sent my sister an email detailing how much damage this is doing to me emotionally and could do to me financially and professionally. In the email, I am asking her to delete all entries in her blog that include private details about me, my business, or our family. I am giving her an ultimatum. She can do as I asked, delete the entries, and I will consider it water under the bridge. We can move on with our lives and try to repair our relationship. Or she can continue to ignore me, keep her blog, and can consider me out of her life. We can see each other at family events and keep things civil, but I will no longer share my life with her. She'll won't be an aunt to my future children or a real sister to me. I will update if and when she responds. Edit update 2. She replied to my email asking me to FaceTime her tomorrow. She wants to talk to me after we both have had the night to cool down. I agree with her as I am pretty heated right now. We'll update after our talk. Thank you everyone for the support. Has really opened my eyes to the gravity of the situation. Final update. I talked to my sister early this morning. We had a really productive conversation. I won't go into too much detail since it was a long and emotional call. The reason she had not reached out during the week we weren't talking was a bit surprising. It turns out her husband knew about the blog but had never read it at her request. After our blow-up, he wanted to see what had made me so upset. She allowed him to read some of the entries and he ended up siding with me. There was also some information on him and his family that he was upset about, so they were having a separate fight about that. I guess my email to her put into perspective to her how much damage her blog and the information she shared there could affect others. She showed me over the video chat that she actually deleted the whole thing. She told me that the blogging started out as a place to vent, but when it got more popular, people started emailing her asking for updates on certain characters, i.e. her family, and she started seeing hundreds of comments. She became obsessed with it basically. She apologized for sharing my secrets and for being ungrateful about the job. She claims that she was exaggerating in the blog to get more views and likes, and I can see that. Our relationship is damaged, but not beyond repair. She is not coming back to work for me. Instead, I am just sending them a small amount of money to help cover their rent. It's not as much as she was making, but I really do love her, and I still want to help her. Once one of them gets a job, they will get back on their feet. This way, they at least have less stress. Once things start to reopen in our area, she promised to set up a regular therapy appointment where she can vent all she wants and get actual advice, as well as help for what she described as a blogging addiction. I want to thank everyone for the comments. Some of them were harsh and some of them were crazy, but it helped a lot to figure out how I actually felt about the situation. Millions. I am so glad that the sister finally understood the situation, and both of them worked it out. What is your thought on this? Let me know in the comment. Am I the a-hole for booking my wife and son a Christmas 2024 Disney trip on Christmas Day? For context, my wife and I recently had our firstborn son this past fall. The birth was traumatic, and since then our poor little guy has had bouts with RSV, pneumonia, and an ear infection. It's been a hard few months on my wife, to say the least. We also live in the south, half an hour away from my in-laws, who we get to see regularly, and they have helped us tremendously, which we're both very grateful for. But I am originally from the East Coast, and we haven't been there in a couple of years, so we re-spending Christmas with my family this year. We've spent the past few Thanksgivings and Christmas in our home state. As a Christmas gift and a way to give my wife an experience she's always wanted, I booked the three of us a mini getaway to Disney World for Christmas 2024, which also includes Christmas Day. Today, however, when doing our gift exchange with our family in our home state, my mother-in-law became very upset about our trip and started asking why I would do that to her. I said, "This isn't about you. It's about giving wife something she's always wanted and deserves." We also said that I only kept it a secret so that it wouldn't get spoiled, and that if they wanted to join us, they were more than welcome to. She visibly got upset and then stormed off and locked herself in her room. She started accusing me of intentionally keeping my wife and son away from her and the rest of our family during the holidays. She also stopped talking to us the rest of the night. My wife felt guilty for receiving the gift, and I began to feel like an asshole for upsetting my because I was only thinking about doing something to make the missus happy. That would also help us make some fun memories. I even was considering shifting the dates of our trip just to make peace. However, my mill then started texting my wife, and one accused me of plotting a Christmas trip away with my family over on the East Coast on purpose in order to have 2 back-to-back years away for the holidays, and to berated my wife for allowing me to mistreat her in such a way. So now, I definitely don't want to move the trip because I feel like it would just reinforce my mill's behavior. So, am I the a-hole? Definitely not the a-hole. But let's see what others commented. One reader commented, "Absolutely not the a-hole. You did something very special and kind for your wife and child. Your mill does not get to dictate how you spend Christmas. It is one day and you can celebrate before or after your trip with her. Your mill needs to get a grip and grow up. Let her pout all she wants. You look forward to your trip and enjoy every minute of it." Another reader commented, "Not the a-hole. The best thing about creating your own family is creating your own memories and traditions. Sounds like Mill is attention-seeking and self-centered." Viewers, what is your opinion on this? Comment down below.